Hi there, I'm Anaya, and I'm glad you're here to learn more about yourself and your sexuality. I'm a sex and kink coach, and today I'm here to teach you that your kinks and interests matter. You should be allowed to pursue your interests, and there are many safe and consensual ways to explore them. I will also discuss the foundation of kink, which is the understanding of clear consent and communication. Everyone knows that sexuality is a natural part of being human, but many do not accept that each person is unique in their desires. When our kinks are different from the ones we see more commonly in our society, we might feel shame about being interested in them. But I am here to tell you that everyone deserves to be able to explore their kinks in a safe, sane, and consensual way. These differences can be as simple as a man wanting to be submissive or a woman wanting to be dominant. These two roles are commonly considered to have a masculine or feminine definition, but in reality, your fantasies are not here to align with societal standards. They are there to bring you and your partner or partners some kind of pleasure. No one should feel ashamed for what turns them on. However, ignoring societal norms placed on us can be difficult. And the shame someone feels about their differences can be powerful. If someone begins to feel too much shame, they can repress what they genuinely feel and what they really want, and this can cause different levels of psychological distress. Finding a way to effectively dispel this shame is so important to living a pleasurable, fun, and fulfilling life. Dispelling shame starts within you, and I am going to share with you how common kink really is and that it's normal and natural. In fact, kink and sexuality go so far back that sex acts and sex organs were some of the first art ever found. They were painted on a cave wall around 37,000 years ago. This proves that sexuality is one of the most prominent features of humanity, not to mention the animal kingdom. The truth is, without sex, there would be no society. Archaeologists have found far more than artifacts that are just related to fertility or procreational sex. Ancient art has been found that clearly depicts sexual spankings, whippings, restraining, and other forms of kink that society today might view as abnormal forms of sexuality. This shows us that our more modern culture is not the one that started participating in this form of play, but we are the ones that make people feel ashamed of it and censor it in our society instead of embracing it. It should be noted that there are certain kinks that are not within the safe, sane, and consensual ideologies, but these are more extreme cases and are not the norm of kink, nor are the majority of kinky people into these things, which is why they should not be the defining characteristics of kink. As long as you are not actively harming yourself or others, you have a right to express or share your interests so that you can better understand what to do with yourself and these feelings. You may have noticed that I keep mentioning consent, communication, safety, and sanity. The reason I stress these qualities so much is because these factors are the foundation for acting out any kinky activity or interest you may have. Let's first talk about consent. First and foremost, consent is expressed approval from any and all people who will be involved in a scene. The word scene is the terminology most often used to describe the situation in which a kink is acted out. Each person involved in, either actively or passively, should know what's going to happen in order to avoid triggers or other limits being passed. The people directly involved in a scene should know what's going to happen and agree to all of it. Clear boundaries should be established. This can include discussing whether each person will be giving or receiving or what their comfort levels are. This allows each party to go into a scene with a clearer understanding of the person or people that they are with. This does not mean, however, that consent is given. Everyone should understand that it is possible for someone to become uncomfortable, change their mind, or simply want to leave the scene. In this case, they can revoke consent by communicating their feelings at any time before or during a scene. Others should not try to change that person's mind or persuade them to do something they are not comfortable with. Talking to your partner during the scene is a great way to keep things safe and consensual. What would make you feel comfortable? Is there something else you would like to try instead? Do you feel safe continuing, or would you like to stop altogether? These are just a few of the questions you can use to open up dialogue, which can help both parties consistently remain safe and comfortable. This brings us to our next point, communication. Communicating with a partner is a very important part of any successful relationship. Without communication, it's hard to know what the other person is thinking or feeling. There are different types of communication, from verbal to nonverbal. Verbal communication is important when getting to know your partner or partners before, during, and after a scene. Feeling comfortable discussing and sharing your kinks is the first step. The next step is learning how to negotiate a scene with your partner. Finally, discussing the scene afterwards can provide valuable insight to all the parties about what went well, what didn't, what you might want, or what you might not want to do in the future. Some people might see negotiation as a chore, but it's far from that. Negotiating a scene should not be thought of as a necessary evil to do before the fun, but more of as a buildup of the fun that's coming. You and your partner get to decide how you each want to feel, what you each want to get out of the scene, and what toys you want or don't want to play with, as well as how far you're willing to take the scene. Deciding what kinky interests you'll be indulging in during a scene is generally something that should be discussed at least a little bit in advance, so that both partners can prepare mentally and get anything together that they might need, whether it's toys, wardrobe, dressing up, ropes, ties, or anything else that will help the scene go smoothly. Next, it's important to openly discuss with your partner what you'd like to do or not do during a scene. What you don't want to do is called a limit. There can be hard limits and soft limits. Hard limits mean that they are a hard stop. Do not push someone's hard limits, as this is what they do not want to do. Limits can change from scene to scene, but during a scene they should not be pushed. Soft limits are areas where they are more likely to not be comfortable, but are more open to it than hard limits. This kind of limit can change more easily than a hard limit, but should still be respected as a limit unless the person that makes it decides to change it themselves. It is also important at this point to learn about and understand any triggers that might be relevant to the scene you're about to explore, such as a spot you don't like being touched or a name you don't want to be called. Another important part of communication is creating safe words. These are words that can be used to make sure that each partner is comfortable and feeling safe during the interaction. Common safe words are red, yellow, and green. Red being a hard stop, meaning you will stop anything happening during a scene until the person who called the safe word is ready. Yellow meaning slow down or ease up, and green meaning good to go. These safe words are good to use because you're able to ask your partner for a color during the scene to ensure that you are doing what your partner enjoys, and because they are words that are not common during sexual activity. Some couples like to use other words that might be uncommon in the bedroom, and this also works. Nonverbal safe words consist of a hand or foot motion, such as tapping the floor 3 times, or a sound such as a squeaky toy. Understanding your partner when acting out scenes can also be helpful in these scenarios so you don't encroach upon their comfort levels. Knowing their natural nonverbal cues and their expressions of pleasure can transform a scene immensely. Communicating after or during a scene about likes and dislikes can encourage deeper understanding between partners. Lastly, let's talk about what we mean when we talk about safety and sanity. Safety refers to actual physical safety of the act, and everyone involved should know the risks of a scene, and risks should be minimized so that no unwanted harm occurs to anyone in the scene. Sane, however, refers to the mindset of the people involved. Everyone must be of sound mind so that they will be able to practice self-control during the scene. This also means that they are using sound judgment about the scene, determining whether it is safe for all participants, and they are capable of being responsible for their decisions. When all of these things, consent, communication, safety, and sanity, come together as a foundation, kink can be a beautiful way to express yourself and your interests, find pleasure, and have fun. Kink is beautiful and natural, and there are lots of ways that are safe to act out your kinks. Everyone deserves to live their truest selves, and I am here to teach you how. Remember to follow me at Pretty and Kink CC and to check out my website prettyandkink.org for updates about my coaching services and my jewelry.